Have you ever paused to consider that some things, even if they seem harmless, might carry a hidden negative energy that can quietly but powerfully change our lives for the worse? What if I told you that Padre Pio, one of the most revered spiritual figures, warned his followers about certain gestures, gifts, and words we should never accept from others because they could bring serious misfortune? Today, we'll reveal 9 things that Padre Pio believed could greatly affect your well-being, peace of mind, and even your prosperity if you let them into your life. Now, imagine this. You're living your life as usual, but slowly, without realizing it, things start to go wrong. Your mood shifts, your relationships with others start to unravel, and even your health begins to suffer. Have you ever wondered if this could be tied to outside influences you've allowed into your life? Perhaps you accepted something that, deep down, carries a strong negative force, quietly eating away at your peace. In this video, we'll take a closer look at Padre Pio's teachings, not just as spiritual advice, but as a true guide to protecting your soul and your life from harmful influences. It's not only about avoiding certain things, but also about understanding the reasons behind these warnings and how they could save us from future troubles and sorrow. What you learned today could be the key to keeping your life balanced and aligned with divine blessings. Make sure to share this message with others. Now, take a moment to think. How many times have you accepted something without considering the consequences? Maybe it was advice from someone with unclear motives, a gift from a stranger, or words that seemed innocent but later turned out to be harmful. What if these small, seemingly harmless acts were actually the door to a chain of problems you could have avoided? Padre Pio left us a wealth of wisdom, and today you'll discover how to use that wisdom to protect your life from negative energies and intentions that aren't yours. This message isn't just for those who want to dive deeper into Padre Pio's spirituality, but for anyone looking to live a fuller, more protected, and mindful life. Together, we'll explore 9 key principles that could change how you engage with the world. By understanding and applying these teachings, you won't just be shielding yourself, you'll also be building a spiritual defense that helps you face life's challenges with greater clarity and security. If you want to learn how to block negativity from your life and recognize the signs before it's too late, stay with us until the end. The insights we're about to share could mark the difference between a life full of unnecessary struggles and one in harmony with God's plan. By the end of this, you'll have the knowledge you need to transform your life and safeguard your spirit from anything that tries to pull you off your true path. Ready to begin? The first thing you should never accept from anyone is harmful words. We often hear that words have power, but we don't always think about how deeply they can affect us. Padre Pio warned against accepting evil words, gossip, or slander. When someone offers us words full of negativity, we're taking on an emotional burden that can taint our spirit. Accepting these kinds of words is like inviting darkness into our hearts. Picture someone who is constantly hearing hurtful criticism over time. They start to believe it, and it wears down their self-esteem and shapes their actions. Don't let other people's negativity poison your heart. Imagine Maria, a woman who was always cheerful and full of confidence. But one day, she began listening to a coworker who constantly gossiped and criticized others. Slowly, Maria noticed that her outlook on life was becoming more negative, and her joy was slipping away. Only when she distanced herself from this coworker did her inner peace return. Be cautious, there might be someone in your life right now bringing in negative energy. Protect yourself with prayer. Secondly, not all gifts come from a place of kindness. Sometimes, a beautifully wrapped present can hide bad intentions that lead to bigger problems. Padre Pio advised us to be careful when accepting gifts, especially when we are unsure of the giver's motives. A gift might be used to manipulate or control you, or create a sense of obligation. For example, John, a businessman, received an expensive gift from a new client. At first, he was flattered, but he soon realized the client expected favors in return. John quickly returned the gift, cutting ties and protecting his integrity and his business. Third, we have to be wary of false promises. Promises are commitments that bind us, but when those promises are empty, they can lead to disappointment, frustration, and bigger problems. Padre Pio warned us not to trust promises made by people with no intention of keeping them. When we rely on such promises, we set ourselves up for failure. Clara, for instance, was excited to close an important deal when her partner promised something that sounded too good to be true. Trusting him, Clara signed the contract, but she later realized that the promises were empty, costing her time, money, and peace of mind. Finally, beware of invitations that lead you to sin. Sometimes these invitations seem harmless at first, but actually take you away from your values. Padre Pio warned against accepting invitations that lead us off the path of virtue. Whether it's an invite to a questionable party or a shady business deal, these are often traps. Saying yes to them is like letting go of your morals and letting negativity into your life. Pedro, a young man dedicated to his faith, was invited by friends to a party where he knew there would be drugs and promiscuous behavior. Though he was hesitant, he convinced himself that he could resist temptation and accepted the invite. However, once there, the pressure from his friends pushed him to act against his principles, and he found himself caught up in situations that almost ruined his life. Next, let's talk about advice from negative people. The guidance we receive plays a major role in shaping our choices, and these choices determine the direction our lives take. However, not all advice is worth following. Padre Pio warned against accepting counsel from those with a negative or distorted view of the world. When we allow pessimism, fear, or disbelief to influence our decisions, we risk losing sight of the path God intended for us. Often, a negative person doesn't even realize how damaging their words can be, trapped in their own cycle of defeat. Taking such advice is like letting their darkness cloud our vision, blocking the opportunities and blessings meant for us. Imagine you have a bold dream, something that requires courage and faith. But when you share this dream with someone consumed by negativity, you may hear nothing but discouraging words. "This will never work," "You can't do it," or "You're better off giving up." If you allow these thoughts to take root, you might give up on something that, with determination, could have been a great success. Take Carlos, for example. He was a young entrepreneur with a big idea for his own business. After talking to a pessimistic friend, doubt began to creep in, and Carlos almost gave up. But he chose to trust his heart, and today his business is thriving, proving that believing in yourself is stronger than any negative advice. Padre Pio teaches us to seek advice from positive sources, words that encourage growth and faith, not those that plant seeds of doubt and fear. Sixth, let's talk about the dangers of unmanageable debt. Taking on debt can weigh heavily on us, especially when we know deep down that we can't pay it off. Padre Pio often warned about the risks of financial commitments beyond our ability to handle. In a world that places so much value on material possessions, the temptation to acquire things we can't afford is strong. But taking out loans or buying things beyond our means can lead to devastating consequences. Unpaid debt grows with interest and penalties, creating a snowball effect that becomes unmanageable. This cycle can steal our peace, trapping us in constant anxiety. Imagine financing a luxury car, even though your finances are tight. At first, it seems like a good idea, but over time the payments become a burden. You find yourself sinking deeper into debt, affecting not just your financial health, but also leading to family conflict and stress-related health problems. Marta, a young professional, decided to purchase a home that was far out of her budget. In the beginning, she felt confident she could manage the payments, but soon the weight of the debt became unbearable. She eventually lost her home and spent years struggling to recover financially. Next, let's talk about the importance of the people we allow into our lives. The company we keep plays a major role in shaping our values and choices. Padre Pio, in his wisdom, cautioned against keeping relationships with people of questionable morals. What might seem like harmless friendships can slowly pull us into situations that compromise our principles, integrity, and even our future. Surrounding ourselves with those whose intentions are unclear or whose actions don't align with our values exposes us to risks we might not realize until it's too late. The old saying, "You are the company you keep," holds a lot of truth. The people around us influence how we think and act, so it's crucial to choose wisely. Negative influences can easily lead us off track, and being around people with a warped sense of right and wrong can cause us to justify things we'd never consider otherwise. It happens slowly, small decisions that pile up until we find ourselves in situations we never imagined. Imagine starting a job where a few colleagues are involved in dishonest practices, justifying their actions as necessary to get ahead. You might be firm at first, refusing to follow their lead, but over time, the pressure and the promise of quick rewards could weaken your resolve. Giving in could cost you not only your career, but also your sense of self. Take Marcos, for instance. He was an ambitious businessman who crossed paths with investors who offered him lucrative opportunities, but there was a catch: they were involved in shady deals. At first, Marcos felt uneasy, but brushed off his concerns because of the potential profits. As time passed, he found himself deeply entangled in a fraudulent scheme, which not only destroyed his career, but also left him facing legal issues and a tarnished reputation. Padre Pio reminds us that we should avoid relationships with people who don't share our values, no matter how appealing the rewards might seem. Integrity and morality aren't up for negotiation, and protecting these qualities is essential to living a life of peace and balance. Choosing the right people to surround ourselves with is a way to protect our inner peace and make sure we stay on the path of good. In a world full of strong outside influences, remembering this lesson from Padre Pio can be the key to living a life of honor instead of one filled with regret. Eighth, let's talk about sharing inappropriate secrets. Sharing secrets can feel like an act of trust, but it can also be a dangerous trap. Padre Pio, with his deep understanding of human nature, warned about the risks of accepting or sharing secrets that could cause harm or involve sensitive information. When someone confides in us with a secret, especially one that could hurt others or put us in a difficult situation, we are given a responsibility that can have serious consequences. Secrets often create strong connections between people, but they also have the power to destroy relationships, reputations, and even lives. By agreeing to keep an inappropriate secret, we may become part of something harmful, which places us in a tricky position. These kinds of secrets are often shared under the guise of friendship, but the true motive can sometimes be manipulation or even emotional control. Imagine that a coworker tells you something compromising about the company information that could land you in trouble if it ever came to light. At first, you might feel flattered that they trust you, but soon the weight of that secret starts to sit heavily on your conscience. Inappropriate secrets like this can create an unbalanced power dynamic between the one sharing and the one receiving. The person who shared the secret, even unintentionally, may use it to control you, knowing that you're now stuck with information you can't reveal. This can turn a trusting relationship into one filled with fear and obligation. Take Sophia, for example. She was a young lawyer when a colleague shared with her a secret about an illegal transaction happening at their firm. At first, she felt proud that someone trusted her with such sensitive information, but soon she realized the secret was putting her in a very tough position. She couldn't simply ignore what she knew, yet speaking out might ruin her career and compromise her integrity. Over time, the secret weighed heavily on her mind, causing anxiety and a feeling of being trapped. Sophia found herself in a tough spot. She realized she had to distance herself from her colleague and eventually report the situation to the right authorities, even though it meant risking her career. Padre Pio reminds us to be extremely careful with secrets, especially those that could harm others or put us in compromising positions. Taking on this kind of burden is dangerous, and it can drag us into situations we can't easily escape. Trust is valuable, but it should never be used as a tool for manipulation or control. Learning to say no to inappropriate secrets is a way of protecting our peace of mind and keeping our integrity intact, ensuring we stay on the path of virtue and honesty. Finally, there's conditional love. Love, in its truest form, should be unconditional. But Padre Pio warns us about the risks of accepting love that comes with strings-attached love that demands we act or be a certain way to earn affection. When love is used as a means to control or manipulate, it's no longer real love. Accepting this type of love can make us lose our sense of self, our freedom, and our peace of mind. Everyone wants to love and be loved, but it's crucial to recognize when love is being used as a way to change or control who we are. Conditional love forces us to act in specific ways or meet certain demands just to be accepted. This creates a toxic relationship where the fear of not measuring up becomes constant, leading to a life of anxiety and dissatisfaction. Imagine being in a relationship where your partner only shows affection when you act a certain way or meet their desires. At first, you might try to go along with it to keep the peace, but over time, you start to lose yourself. You begin changing who you are to fit their demands, sacrificing your own needs and happiness. This isn't real love, it's control wrapped in affection. Take Laura, for instance. She was young and in love, and at first, her relationship seemed perfect. But as time went on, her boyfriend started to impose conditions on their love. He wanted her to dress a certain way, avoid certain friends, and even change parts of her personality. In an effort to keep the relationship, Laura started molding herself to fit his demands, but this only led to deep unhappiness. Eventually, she realized she was living a life that wasn't hers and chose to free herself from the emotional prison she had been trapped in. Padre Pio teaches us that real love embraces someone as they are, without expecting them to change or placing conditions on them. When we accept love with strings attached, it becomes a burden that can weigh us down, affecting not only our finances but also our peace of mind. He encourages us to live within our means and resist the urge to want more than we can afford. Financial freedom is a blessing, and falling into debt can trap us in a cycle of stress and anxiety. Learning to manage what we have wisely is crucial for living a balanced life. The company we keep also plays a role in shaping our character. Associating with people who lack integrity can lead us down dangerous paths, influencing our actions and values. Padre Pio reminds us to choose our friends carefully, keeping our moral compass steady, no matter the temptations we face. Another warning is about the responsibility of keeping secrets. When we hold on to secrets that could hurt others or compromise ourselves, we become entangled in situations that are hard to escape. Trust is valuable, but we should be careful about accepting secrets that could put us in a vulnerable position. Conditional love, he teaches, is a form of control. True love doesn't demand change or force us to meet someone else's expectations. Accepting love with conditions means giving up our freedom. True love, on the other hand, allows us to be who we are. Reflecting on these teachings, it's clear that the common thread is the importance of protecting our soul from negative influences. Each lesson reminds us to be mindful of what we allow into our lives, whether it's words, gifts, promises, debts, relationships, or love. The takeaway is simple. Peace and happiness come from living true to our values, not letting outside forces lead us astray. By being thoughtful and careful in our choices, we can avoid many pitfalls and live a life aligned with God's will. Following these teachings helps us build a life based on strong principles, leading to a more peaceful and fulfilled existence.